Am I the asshole for using my husband's savings to repurchase the bike that he took from our daughter? My daughter received a bike from her uncle, my brother, on her 11th birthday. She was over the moon and excited to use it because it was on her wish list for so long. Days ago, I discovered that my husband reached out to my brother to ask for the recipient for the bike and returned it to the store and kept the money for himself while my daughter was at school. The bike was at home. My daughter and I got home and she started crying after noticing the bike was gone. My husband was home at the time. He told me he returned the bike and got money in return to spend on something useful for us since the bike was just there as a distraction, and there was no need for it now since we're the dead of winter. I was aggravated and lost it on him, saying it wasn't his, didn't come from him, and he didn't pay for it, so he had no right to touch it, especially knowing our daughter's been wanting it for a long time and my brother was decent enough to buy it for her despite barely having money to get him by. I told him what he did was theft and insisted he hand over the money to me so I could repurchase it, but he said he spent it on stuff for the house and doesn't have any money left now, but I knew about the money he was stashing away in the bedroom that he forbade me from using, and I took some of it and went out to repurchase the bike while he was out the next day. He found out and verbally lashed out at me, saying I should have never touched the money he was saving for himself, which isn't much, but I lashed right back that I had to so I could repurchase the bike he took from under our daughter. He explained that he didn't keep the money for himself and instead spent it for necessities for our home, but he was at fault for taking the bike in the first place and he was responsible for getting it back. He yelled at me for almost 10 minutes, then stormed outside and started smoking. My daughter asked why her dad was upset and that she no longer wants the bike if dad doesn't want her to have it, but I assured her that's not the case and told her she shouldn't feel guilty and to just focus on enjoying her bike. My husband hasn't stopped grilling me about how I disrespected and undermined him and managed to make our daughter hate him after making him look like the bad guy. I again said he shouldn't have touched the bike. End of the story. He's called me thief and juvenile for taking money from his savings and being sneaky about it. Am I the asshole for the way I got the bike back? Not the asshole. Your husband stole your daughter's gift and you made it right. And he's hiding money you aren't allowed to touch? He sounds incredibly awful and controlling. Not the asshole. He can't afford necessities but he has a stash of money for himself and he's smoking? Really? Not the asshole, but you know you've got much bigger problems than the bike and this particular money incident. Your husband is so piss poor he has to steal from your kids, yet he somehow has enough money to smoke? Not the asshole. But you're married to a huge one? Not the asshole. But like others, I'm also wondering why you're with this man. He seems to care only about himself and not even a little bit about you or your daughter. Are you with him for your daughter? Because trust me, she doesn't need that kind of drama in her life. It's better to not have a dad than a dad that steals from you for his own fun. Info: why does he have savings for himself if you're so broke you have to sell your daughter's presents to buy things you need for the house? This is a genuine question because for most parents selling a child's presents bought by someone else would be a line they would do a lot to avoid crossing. On the legal side, he is allowed to sell his daughter bike. She is minor, so it is his legal right. But in the same time, if you don't have a prenup, you have the same legal right to take every penny from his savings, because all savings are legally your common savings. He cannot use double standards on his actions and on your actions. Either you are both thieves, or none of you. But this sub is not about legality but about morality. Your husband is the asshole and you are not the asshole. Edit. I have to correct it. Gifts are an exception. Parent has custodial right. Can take it away, forbid to use, but not ownership rights. So, your husband is a thief. Look up financial abuse. Your husband is abusive. Not the asshole. Update: would I be the asshole if I asked my boyfriend to stop bringing his sister on our dates? After my post, I decided to talk to her in private just to ask her about it. I tried to be as gentle as possible and she was very understanding. She apologized for always asking to come with us and said that she really liked to spend time with both of us as she also loves and considers me family since she doesn't have any sisters. I told her that it was okay and that we could all hang out together some days, and in others my boyfriend and I would go on dates. She agreed completely and even asked me if we could go out on our own and have girls' day together. I was very happy that she also enjoyed my company, so I said absolutely. After our conversation we hugged and made sure things were okay. Ever since our talk boyfriend and I, are more clear on when we are on dates and when we can go together. It has worked out perfectly fine and we are very happy. At the end, it was just a communication problem. Thank you for your judgment and I wish you all the best. Damn, This is actually wholesome, a rare sight on this subreddit. Really glad it worked out so easily for y'all. Seems like the sister is quite a nice person too. I'm happy this all worked out. I love when things work out with some good communication. I hadn't seen your original post until now, but this is such a nice update. It sounds like you all handled it with a lot of maturity and grace. Doesn't really sound like you needed the sub at all. That was a very mature and compassionate solution. Good luck with everything. This is such a wonderful update. I'm so glad to hear that his sister thinks so highly of you and that there's such a solid relationship there. Bruh, why did this make me emotional? Wholesome sister. Disclaimer. This is not for you op. See Reddit? That's what you get when you are reasonable, real-life conversations like adults. Now it's for op. Congrats op, I'm happy it all worked out fine. Update. Am I the asshole for not sharing my daughter's university fund with my stepson? Original post. First of all, thank you to the literally thousands of people who responded to my original post. I'm not exactly sure what struck such a deep nerve with this subreddit, but I appreciate everyone who took the time to throw in their 2 cents. When I originally posted, my husband's reaction was still pretty gut, and since then we've had a few days to talk things through. As I suspected, my husband's problem was never the fact that he only has $15,000 in my stepson's fund, just that by comparison my daughter's graduation gift is so much larger. In my husband's mind, the money he would be handing to his son would be a graduation gift to be used towards college but also other things, and that if my stepson needed additional help in the way of loans or financing we would cross those individual bridges as they came. The way he looked at it, handing a kid a check for $15K is huge. He was just suddenly blown out of the water by how much my daughter's gift will look like next to it. Anyway, we'll not be pooling the accounts. We clarified that any tuition money we spend on the kids moving forward will come from our shared funds, and will go equally toward each kid. Basically, if we gift stepson $1,000, we'll also put that amount in my daughter's account. If we loan either of them money, that's up to them individually to arrange with us. We let the kids know that their accounts are different, and that a lot of the discrepancy in funds is due to the fact that all of my daughter's gifts from family and her other resources etc. have been pooled into her account already, whereas my stepson still has his mother and other extended family members gifting and contributing at the time of graduation and as he goes. That's obviously not fully the case, but it helps speak to how aggressively each of us biological parents invested and looked ahead. The kids know that this has long been the case, as my daughter's biological side of the family is quite small compared to my stepson's side of the family where there are 20 times easily the amount of relatives. The kids are all good. My husband and I are all good. No one will be drowning in college debt as some comments on the op feared. We just needed to have a talk about things. Thanks again everyone for all the different perspectives. I'm not exactly sure what struck such a deep nerve with this subreddit. There are 2 things this sub hates more than anything else. 1. Husbands who demand things from their wives because of toxic masculine pride. 2. Step-parents who overreach with their stepkids or override the bio-parents' parental decisions, especially if they use the excuse, "'cause we're FAAA me Lee." 1. Your original post hit both nerves. If $15K seem that much to him you might want to check your retirement plans and work something out. Good to hear things are working out. It just sounds to me like you are still sacrificing giving to your daughter for the sake of your husband's feelings. Unless I am reading this wrong. Why can't you add whatever the heck you want to? Just curious, nothing malicious. I fully support not combining the accounts. How will no one be drowning in debt? College is expensive even after the $15,000 and other small contributions from family. I don't see the vast majority contributing. Your husband will most likely be co-signing private loans. So the original agreement is that each parent pays for their own kid. You scrimped and saved and have a lot to give your daughter. Your husband did fuck all and reneged on the agreement. The solution you're happy about involves shared funds, meaning partially your money, paying for his kid. So the exact opposite of the agreement. Am I taking crazy pills here? How is this a compromise? So, does anyone think op is a sucker? Just read the original post. Husband didn't care until it was your child that got more money. Seems like a terrible deal for your child. It may be because I'm terrible at math, but I'm not seeing how your daughter isn't getting the shit end of the stick here. Can someone explain in super layman's terms please? How is it that you guys will give SS and daughter equal amounts when they have vastly different college funds? Am I the asshole for taking my daughter to the salon to get her hair fixed against my ex's wishes? I have 2 daughters with my ex, E is 13 and M is 9. We have 50-50 custody. I always allowed my daughters to have full control over their appearance if they like it. Nothing like tattoos or piercings. Until they're a certain age. 13 and 9 is way too young for anything like that. But hair dye is a different story. I went to go pick up my daughters and I instantly was shocked at M's hair. On the drive back I was asking M what happened with her hair and she said that, Mom did it. It was a really brassy orange color and stringy looking. It looked horrible and I asked M if she liked it. She said that she didn't want that hair color and Mom wanted to practice on hair and said that, you'll be pretty blonde. E was telling me that Mom was begging M to bleach her hair and was telling M that she'd look better and Mom was asking her as well to bleach her hair but E declined. M's hair was brown beforehand. When we got back home I texted my ex to see why she wanted to bleach our daughter's hair and that M was saying that she wanted her hair to be a different color. I instantly called bullshit. I told my ex that I'm gonna take her to the salon to get her hair fixed and the color she wanted and she stared calling me. She was freaking out saying that don't do that to her and she doesn't approve of it, and she wanted M to be blonde. I was pretty much in awe at this point. I hung up and asked M what color she wanted and she said purple. I asked if she wanted to go salon, she said yes. The people working at the salon were asking me who did M's hair and I said their mom. They were all kinda worried looking because bleach is quite harsh and M's hair looks damaged. Well, they used a safe non-permanent purple hair dye on M's hair and she loved it. Fast forward to when we got home and I sent a picture to her of M's hair and she started freaking out again and saying that M looks dumb and she wanted M to look like her. She was saying that she wanted M to look their mom. My ex is blonde. She said that I'm fucked up to do something that she didn't approve of. I was pissed off at this point so I hung up. Am I the asshole? Not the asshole. Excuse me, but who fucking does a hair bleach to a 9-year-old? Pretty sure hair is too weak for that yet. Not the asshole. 50-50 custody and she certainly didn't consult you before doing her hair. Perhaps come to an agreement that in the future, any dye jobs need to be done by professionals, not by mom. Not the asshole so she's allowed to go and dye your daughter's hair without your permission, but you're not? Not the asshole. You put the children first and that is what matters. The question is what happens next time? Don't think your ex should have access to her 2 daughters if she isn't in therapy to deal with whatever issues she has, else they may internalize them. Not to mention she didn't ask for your opinion when bleaching your youngest's hair so the hypocrisy is flagrant. A stern discussion, without the kids, is needed. Not the asshole. Did she ask your permission to attempt a bad bleach job in the first place? She's your daughter, too, and your ex made her very unhappy by doing this. And regular home bleach kits are not for darker hair, it will turn it, as you saw, orange. There are special kits for bleaching to blonde, or stripping color to white. Not the asshole. She bleached a child's hair against her will and did a job of it that was likely to hurt her self-esteem. Bleaching is in no way required for a child's health, it's completely optional and your daughter had every right to refuse. You were only trying to correct damage done so your daughter wouldn't feel embarrassed and possibly be bullied for her mother's lack of skill. Not the asshole. Revisit the custody agreement. Not the asshole. Does anyone else feel like the mom wants control? Like M isn't a little girl child. She's a doll, or something. I'm generally weirded out by this.